All right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I'm joined once again for the second day in a row by my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with John Burr for the emergency Grayson Allen, Deandre Ayton, Jrue Holiday sweepstakes, Dame Lillard to a contender podcast. John, we just missed it yesterday. We just missed it when we recorded.
This is kind of our pattern of behavior. I hate to say.
What, just missing out on things?
We're like trying to be prepared for things.
Yeah.
But then we kind of like then we don't give it the amount of respect that it's needed. We disrespected the trade.
We did disrespect the trade. However, in our defense,
the casuals we are the casuals that weren't to be addressed.
When we recorded our podcast episode on Wednesday, September 27th, you started off the greeting by saying it's Dame time.
Yeah, I can.
And then I said, has that trade not happened yet? It has to happen soon. And then in the 59th minute, you were like, it has to happen. It's going to happen. And then like an hour later, it did happen. So
yeah.
We
should have followed our own advice.
It's not that we missed it. I think we were on the cutting edge once again, but just a little too far on the cutting. We've always just been just a little bit too far on the cutting edge. Everyone catches up to us. We're like, we were there first, but we miss out because it wasn't the perfect time. Not serendipitous enough.
This has happened to me a lot in life where like I had a band and I thought I think we were very ahead of our time. But now I listen to music on the radio. I'm like, that sounds like my band. But it also sucks.
Well, so I think
so now I'm like, oh, my band sucked.
I want to say now, don't be offended if I categorize some of your music incorrectly.
Go ahead.
I believe you had like a classic 80s synth throwback aura and sound that's very hip, very popular right now.
Right.
And so you preceded that curve. I would argue I looked like an actual dirt bag physically 15 years ago, way before it was cool. I had a mustache and mullet years before all the private school professional baseball pitcher dudes were wearing these things.
You basically have always looked like Morgan Callan.
I don't know who that is.
I think he's Morgan Wallen. Excuse me. I conflated a couple of things. I conflated a right-wing singer with a right-wing comedian. Wow. You basically look like the biggest thing in country music right now.
Oh, that's great. I think one of the biggest things in country music lives on my street. Someone told me, but
wow.
I don't even know who it is. I just know what house they're in. Let's talk about this trade. This is a huge trade, obviously. Trade we've been waiting for.
I would describe it as boondoggling. Like it my eyes leapt out of my head.
Yeah, I definitely went bug-eyed, excited. But before we get there, should we hit a breakfast? I'll do a breakfast. I had for breakfast this morning, the day after the Deandre Ayton trade, I had some leftover tacos from last night. Just heated up the cheese, the tortillas. Very plain, actually. You
came very close to having the breakfast delicacy chilaquiles.
So I'd opened an avocado yesterday. I say opened like it's a can of food.
You kind of open it.
Yeah, you open it. So I had it like face down in like a little container. Tupperware, trying to keep the air out. So then I did scoop out, shaved off the layer of brown, scooped it on there, had some salsa, lunch, breakfast, who knows? That's what I'm using to power myself right now. What was your breakfast?
McGaw's.
Oh, you went to McGaw's. Was this a celebration or a regularly scheduled donut event?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Okay.
I don't want to incriminate myself, but it was delightful. I actually got a bear claw, which I don't think I've had in a long time, and realized I don't know what it is didn't know what it is because when I ordered it, the other thing I also ordered was a cinnamon roll, and bear claw is just a cinnamon roll.
There you go. So it's twisty. It's like a twisty.
I had two enormous cinnamon rolls.
It can be. Yeah, I feel like bear claws. Does it have to have that weird texture, like a bumpy ogre hand style texture?
It kind of was just a big fat long donut with swirls of cinnamon there.
So now I'm confused about like what's a cinnamon twist? What's like just
I think the cinnamon twist was a bear claw twisted.
I think
I ordered two cinnamon twists. One was unfurled, the other wasn't.
It's not a grizzly. What's a
Not
grizzly
quite
claw?
a fritter. I think fritter. Someone in our chat's asking. Ryan Kirkpatrick's asking if it's
That's what I was saying. The fritter thing. What makes a fritter?
I think there's more density to that, and then I also think there's often filling.
I think I'm not sure what the Grizzlies claw is. A Grizzlies twist, though, is when you trade 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart a month before Jrue Holiday becomes available.
Oh.
That's a Grizzlies twist. What? Are we? Was it not the time to go all in for Marcus Smart?
Oh, dude, I did not even think of that.
Jrue Holiday is now available, everybody. That's a big angle to this deal. This deal's amazing. And again, not to tease it too much, I do think after our breakfast, we can do a quick breakfast in bed apology. You said maybe you wanted to make something right before we dive into the details of this Damian Lillard transaction. Are you shaking? Do you need a second?
The whole trade just fell apart. Ashes in my mouth. Like, I didn't even think of that. I was even going to talk about how I couldn't believe the price for Jrue Holiday was so low, but I just had pushed it all aside. I didn't even think. I mean, that would be the perfect fit.
Yeah. I mean, he's better than Marcus Smart, but
yeah, I mean,
alas.
Lost in this, and in no way am I saying that Jrue Holiday is as good as Damian Lillard. I don't believe that, but lost in this is how good he has been.
It is. So I think, did you want to apologize for anything, or are we going to blow through it? We can. I don't.
Let's just blow through it.
Let's blow through it.
I had some hard and speak, but
I'm not even putting in the music. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So big aspect of this deal is Damian Lillard, who is in a vacuum a better player than Jrue Holiday. I think you have to consider the fit, and I think it actually makes sense for this Bucks team because their half-court offense was breaking down.
Yes.
And so I do think you're taking a lot off the table with Jrue Holiday. I think if you went like 2 years ago, I think an amazing argument, even though these guys are the same age, I think an amazing argument 2 years ago would be like for certain teams who actually contributed more to winning, Jrue Holiday or Damian Lillard. And maybe I'm a little lower on Damian Lillard than a lot of people, but I think on this fit for the Bucks, like they now become probably title favorites. I mean, technically they are, according to Vegas, title favorites.
I just also think this is just exactly the cure for the Bucks, and they gave up the one thing they could afford to lose is defensive mindedness.
Yeah.
They have the best defensive player in the league. They also have a guy who finishes higher in the DPOY than the best defensive player in the league. So and really the only thing the spot where I think they'll miss Jrue is in the playoffs, but that's the part where they need Dame Lillard the most. I mean, you're trading one of the best transcendent playoff defenders for one of the best transcendent offensive players. And so when you already have the defense, I think that's a trade you can make.
Yeah, I think Bucks fans, as they celebrate acquiring Damian Lillard, which you should celebrate, that's fine. They're really emphasizing. I'm seeing a lot of this emphasizing of like Jrue's playoff kind of faults. The fact that he's fallen off a bit. He's had some bad series, particularly series against the Miami Heat. And it's hard for me as an outside fan or an outside observer to like judge that against like the iconic moments of the winning the finals, like him making the play that won the finals and him having some big playoff moments otherwise. But it does seem like the time to move on. So the Bucks, they send away Jrue, and then they are sending away an unprotected 2029 first, which frankly, that could be a really awesome asset. Like we're talking 6 years from now. You've just got done paying Damian Lillard's contract, I think, at that point. Who knows what Giannis is going to be up to. They also have these pick swaps in 28 and 30. Those are all really great things. I think the Bucks did a good job of getting in. They also, the Trailblazers, which I guess we'll get to in a second, like the Trailblazers also get, of course, Deandre Ayton, which makes this a hysterical trade, I think, from a lot of angles.
So to me, that signifies that this Ayton trade has been done a while and it was waiting on the Lillard trade. Probably.
I think
Like
that's
Ayton for
probably
Nurk
accurate.
swap?
They were saying, yeah, we definitely want to. They told the Trailblazers a while ago. The Suns let Joe Cronin know, hey, yes, you can have Ayton.
Mhm.
Like if you can match the salaries, we will give him to you. And that seems like the Suns 100%. They just gave away DeAndre Ayton. But before we get to what the Suns and the Trailblazers even, let's focus just on the Bucks. So the Bucks, like we said, they're now the title favorites. The price, not that extreme. I think they don't have any of their picks. They don't control any of their picks. Period. They're now with the Suns. Well, the Suns and the Bucks don't control any of their first round picks going forward. But like I think to bring in Damian Lillard and you get, we think 2 amazing years, which kind of coincides with like keep Giannis. I mean, like there is risk to this. The risk being, what if Dame has any form of like drop off? What if Chris Middleton doesn't totally return to form? What if
they have Chris?
I mean, I know every single team has like, well, what if this guy gets hurt? But like when you think about Brook Lopez, he's old and he missed a couple seasons ago with a foot injury. So like they're a little very, very thin, much like now, I guess a lot of our title contending teams are. And there's still the future where like if Giannis goes pure cold blooded and he's like, I extracted everything out for the situation. I got them to give up Damian Lillard and we had a great 2-year run, and then Giannis can still leave. Mm-hmm. And then they're left with just like $60 million worth of 36-year-old Damian Lillard, which is that's the risk. But all that to say, with like the stuff Giannis was putting out, like, hey, who'd you get me? You got me Malik Beasley. Like who else are you getting me? Now like it becomes honestly sort of a no-brainer for like the Bucks to make this happen. Now, do you want to go to the Suns next or the Trailblazers next? Maybe we should go to the Trailblazers next because I feel like
you should save the Suns for last.
I feel like the Trailblazers. This is a massive win for Joe Cronin. This is a massive win, I think, for the Trailblazers. Do you similarly think this is the same?
I feel the same way, despite protestations from Heat fans that they took a much lesser deal, but I don't really understand it. This seems like really good to me.
I think just when you look at the picks involved, mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's a good chance both the 2030 picks for the Bucks and Heat are both very valuable. But like you got 2 swaps and an unprotected pick from Milwaukee 7 years from now. I think that's an amazing asset. Getting Jrue Holiday, he's gonna get turned into a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be a couple of picks.
That's probably a couple of first round picks, and it shows the weirdness. Like if you're one of Damian Lillard's called out casuals, if you're one of those people confused, we're like, well, why is it going to be easier to trade Jrue Holiday? It's just all about contracts. Like no one wanted to pay Damian Lillard for the length and amount of his contract. Tons of teams, tons of them are going to want to pay Jrue Holiday for this season. Thus, they're going to be able to package him into, I think a minimum of 2 first rounders. And also, which I know this is like, this is just my podcaster dream stuff. Like just indulge me for 1 second. What if the Trailblazers just kept him? What if Scoot Henderson, indulge me, what if Scoot Henderson has the same impact as a rookie or 90% of the impact as a rookie that Ja Morant had? And the Trailblazers are immediately competitive. And you have Jrue Holiday and Scoot Henderson and maybe Anthony Simons in a 6-man role. You still have Jeremy Grant. You have DeAndre Ayton. Who like DeAndre Ayton, all right, I don't think he's worth being given away. Maybe he's not your peak ideal 3rd round of the playoffs center, but he's a good NBA center. I guess
we don't know. We just don't know what DeAndre Ayton is.
That's true. If he hates your organization.
Yeah. I mean, there were moments where he was like a really good traditional type center, which we don't know if that can thrive in the non-playoff atmosphere, but he may have just been really pissed at that coach, really pissed at that organization. So. And that creates, a different situation. Also, like, who's to say they can't move off Ayton?
Right. I mean, maybe
these are just they have so much flexibility now.
I would say who's to say they can't move off Ayton would be the Suns' inability to give him away for the past however many months. I mean,
well, see, to me, I think maybe this deal has been in place.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
that makes more sense to me than like we just can't get rid of DeAndre.
I think
like that was always very puzzling to me. But now I feel like that we were waiting on Dame to go.
I don't want to go to the Suns yet, but I think a legit criticism of this move from the Suns.
You want to luxuriate in that warm waters of the Suns.
I want to bathe in it. I want to ladle it over all my skin.
It's very, very bizarre.
It seems like they could have at least give Ayton a shot with Vogel. Like, say, like the Nurkic contract not going away. Toxic, a negative upside down asset that no one else was going to trade for. That Nurkic trade was never going away. I mean, I guess you risk he gets hurt again. So like the Suns could have kind of held still on it, but going back to the Blazers, getting the pick swaps and the actual unprotected pick, getting Jrue Holiday, who they are going to flip into whatever. I mean, they might flip him into some of the stuff the Heat were going to offer. Although I assume the Heat, like you're never calling Joe Cronin again, are you? I mean, like, I don't know how you go back, but maybe the Heat still offer some stuff like Kyle Lowry plus, just Jovic or also another like 20, whatever that far out Heat pick they could send. Like the Raptors have been linked to it. Like I want the Nets. I think the Nets should trade for Jrue Holiday. He'd be amazing on them. You have reports of like the Clippers being interested. You have reports of the Warriors being interested. You have you have Knicks linked to him. Everyone, the Bulls, like everyone. Honestly, the Pelicans, I would be, as a Grizzlies fan, mortified if the Pelicans like brought Jrue Holiday back. Like they have matching salary. All these teams that have matching salary, go get Jrue Holiday. He's going to make your organization better. He's going to make your on-court product way better. Every contender, like you can use Jrue Holiday.
I mean, I can't stop thinking about just the Grizzlies somehow getting him now.
My terror
poisoned me.
My terror is
Pelicans.
Like, no, you just have to keep, like, as a Grizzlies fan, you have to keep Jrue out of the West. Like, either stay on Portland or go to the East. Like, the funniest one is the the Warriors. Like, the Warriors might trade Chris Paul.
Heard, which, I mean, him on the Dubs would be
that's game over.
Horrifying. Yeah, it's
catastrophic for the West.
Yeah.
Jrue Holiday for Chris Paul and like Kuminga. I mean, that's not, for me, that's not enough. If I'm I guess you depend on what all the offers are. If I'm the Trailblazers and if I'm Cronin, and I think they wanted to get this deal done by training camp. Makes sense. Everyone always said it. That's why we said yesterday on the show, like, this has to happen. Like, you can't hold all these players out going into the season. But now I think with Jrue, you are not under the gun. Like, you see value probably in having Jrue around Scoot, having Jrue around even Anthony Simons, having Jrue around Shaedon Sharpe. Just like that guy, I think in your facility is going to be great. I mean, obviously, I love Jrue Holiday. That's probably coming through. Like, I'm enamored with this guy.
Yeah.
I think he's perfect, like perfect NBA basketball player. Like, sure, he has shortcomings. He's not the best player in the league, but like, if he's on your team, you have a good team.
Playoff like clamp master.
Even like the Sixers. Now like another angle to this, and this goes back to the Heat stuff. Like, what about now there's the James Harden weirdness, and like, it is a very smooth fit for Jrue to go to the Sixers. If there's a three, again, I don't know if there could be a three-way trade involved where the Trailblazers and Heat communicate. Apparently the Athletics reporting that the Trailblazers didn't really engage with the Heat. They asked for Bam or Jimmy, which, first of all, like, they asked for Jimmy. That's just stupid. I don't like, what do the Trailblazers want with Jimmy Butler?
I think asking for Bam is pretty stupid.
I think it's stupid, but also it's like, let's start there. Sure.
Yeah.
So like,
I just, at this point, I don't think, I guess just everything with the Heat was pretty overblown.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they misplayed their hand. That's what most people are saying, that like the Heat thought there weren't other suitors.
Reading these types of tea leaves.
I also don't believe most of the after the fact reports. I just don't believe them. Like, sure. I'm not saying the Athletics wrong,
when you claim that you broke up with each other at the same time.
Oh, we offered 4 picks for Mikal Bridges.
That's
Yeah,
never
right.
true.
Whatever. I'm not saying like the Athletic's incorrect. I'm saying they're being told things and reporting what they're being told. I'm more dubious, basically all that stuff. But I think the Heat thought that maybe Dame could force his way there. There's some thought that Dame was frustrated with the idea that they weren't engaging, that the Trailblazers weren't engaging with the Heat on the deal, and that's why he increased the public pressure recently. I thought notably Dame's agent coming out was like awkward and weird, where he like thanked the whole Heat organization for trying to make it happen. It's like, you just got traded to Giannis in the Bucks. Like grow up, man.
I mean, it does seem pretty obvious that Dame preferred the Heat option, but he'll just have to go splash some water on his face and realize he's playing with the best player alive.
Yeah, he's more likely to win a title now than he was by getting traded to the Heat.
Certainly, he's a better fit on the Bucks than the Heat.
Yeah, like I think the Bucks are definitely better than the Heat would have been if the Heat were able to pull off this deal.
I don't know how much Dame would have liked, playing the Duncan Robinson role on the Heat.
Let's talk about the Suns a little bit.
Oh my God.
Is it too soon? I mean,
Grayson Allen going to Suns is proof that I am merely an NPC in your greater story. God in heaven, how is this real?
I used to say I don't even dislike Grayson Allen. I was just mad he was playing over Desmond Bane and D'Anthony Melton, which honestly, that's how I felt. I didn't have any of the college baggage, but everyone also
dumb and blind.
Everyone also dislikes him.
He was thrown out of his first preseason game.
He was. Everyone also dislikes him, so I don't mind jumping on the bandwagon. And him going to the Suns is a perfect fit for
like Ted Cruz.
We're all the stars of our own story, but it feels like a lot of the universe is actually working for my story. So it makes me just emphasize, like, maybe this is my story. No, the Heat.
I want to say really distilled the Suns into just Devin Booker and stuff.
Yeah.
Like is he the only guy left?
He's Devin Booker is the only guy left from the finals team. Yeah.
That is John Madden franchise dismemberment.
Before I open
game nonsense.
Before I open the entire book of what the Suns have done this summer, I think there might be a silver lining for the Heat. I think bringing in Dame was a move to get them better, but I don't think it catapulted them to the top of the East or the league by any stretch of the imagination. I think they were going to have big time problems in future seasons with all those salaries. And
sure, but Pat Riley's like 79 years old.
Pat Riley might retire once Miami is inundated by the Atlantic Ocean. But like, I think not using all their chips on Damian LIllard is honestly fine. And if they can get Jrue Holiday for less than it cost to get Damian LIllard, like, hey now. Jrue Holiday on the Heat.
Are they on speaking terms?
I don't know. That's the funny thing. Like, will the Heat and Blazers not trade at all? Like, is that just
what if Cronin calls up and he's like, all right, Jrue Holiday for Bam or Butler?
So I think there's a silver lining for the Heat that maybe going all in on Dame. It's maybe it's not all in like the Suns did with all their moves and all their picks, because they still had stuff and they weren't unloading their best players, but like they can still make moves. They can still improve their team. It's just not maybe what they thought they're going to do. And I think the PR hit seems kind of big. Like, all Heat fans thought they were getting Dame. All NBA fans thought Damian Lillard was going to the Heat for months. And then it turns out, nope. You got Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero's been a good sport about it. Some great posts from Tyler Hero saying, like someone saying like he survived the final boss of trade rumors. And then he tweets out, until next summer, crying emoji. He also, there's been a lot of great posting, I think, from this trade. You had Yusuf Nurkic posting the Suns and 4 guy. Excellent posting, Yusuf. You had Jimmy Butler making a joke about the NBA should investigate the Bucks for tampering. Good sense of humor. Nice work.
Yes, that was misinterpreted by many. If not all.
Good posting by Jimmy. And then of course you had Damian Lillard.
Not so great.
Like Dame as a person seems like a nice guy. I can't stand his persona. His starting off his tweet with
I think
like
Dame might be in Michael Jordan territory. Don't want to know the real guy thing.
Him posting first thing to post is the casuals won't be addressed.
Biggest loser here, Christian Wood, no longer owner of the word casuals in NBA spheres.
And then Dame has lined up a single to drop the minute the trade happens.
Yeah.
To me, that's criminal behavior. Like disgusting, horrifying. And I know I have a long history with Damian Lillard, going back to him writing a letter to the commissioner asking to be an all-star over Mike Conley back in the day. But just another step of like, oh my God, Dame.
Yeah, I'm like a love the artist. Love the art, not the artist guy, because like I don't like because I love Dame Lillard, one of my favorite players, but one of the lamest people in sports.
So, all right. So the Suns. Okay. I'm a lot surprised, honestly. Like, so my podcasting style, all right, my podcasting style, it's like a mixture of like, I make jokes and joke predictions, and I like to talk about the league because like, I assume the listeners know what we're talking about. And so my enjoyment of the NBA is just constantly just making little jokes here, little jokes there. And I don't always believe them, but sometimes I lean into a bit.
I would say you seed as many narratives as possible and then claim I told you so when one of them springs to life.
Yeah, that works. That's again, that's what we all do here, I believe. It's like the
you're like a Johnny Appleseed.
It's like the fantasy. It's like the fantasy sports people who make a lot of bold predictions.
Yes.
Bold predictions exist just so you can circle one later when it comes back. But I was making jokes about them just cost cutting constantly. But honestly, I didn't think they would go this far. Now, if they keep all the players they acquired, and the players they acquired are not good. They got Yusuf Nurkic, who again, one of the worst contracts in the NBA, objectively.
Yeah.
They got him claiming they think he can be a defensive upgrade.
And years removed from his defensive stopper actual impact.
If Nurkic is healthy, it's a fine fit, but he's not a good defender anymore.
Nurkic is not walking.
They got Nurkic. They got Grayson Allen. They got Nasir Little, who's locked up for 4 years, and they got
Nasir Little's NBA player, I think.
They got your guy Keon Johnson. Go Vols.
Yes, NBA player.
That's the return. They also sent out the guy they took in the second round this year. So the 2023 Suns second rounder, Tumani Kamari. I'm not sure if I got all the consonants in the right place.
I think that's a Danish that I order from a bakery sometimes.
So the Suns salary dump DeAndre Ayton. To get back, they're going to argue, and Suns apologists will say it's depth pieces, and I am sympathetic to that argument. I do think Nasir Little is a pretty nice get if their centers stay healthy, if their centers are available. Adding Nasir Little to a rotation with Keita Bates Jop makes sense to me. That like, okay, you did need some bigger guys with size, a little bit of size, who are theoretically NBA players. Now, they've only been NBA players on tanking awful teams. Neither one of those players has played a single game that matters in the NBA. So I don't know how that's going to work. So getting that extra player, getting Grayson Allen, who is a very useful regular season NBA player, like very useful. Unfortunately for the Suns, he's a little bit redundant. Like maybe not. I mean, you have Devin Booker, you have Bradley Beal, you have Eric Gordon. Then Grayson can slot in there, maybe take some of the minutes at the one that maybe they were going to throw to like that Goodwin guy from the Wizards. But like, I think my worry is like, if they keep them all, okay.
Your worry.
They're still paying the same amount of salary. They didn't actually cut their luxury tax payments this year. For next year, of course, Grayson Allen is expiring deal. He's gone. Going forward, Nurkic makes way less. It does look like they cut their costs going forward, but like they're 100% going to pay somebody just to take Keon Johnson's salary, or they're gonna stretch it. You know, like they're gonna waive him for cost or try to trade him away for savings. I think like they're probably, I mean, what are the odds? What do you put the odds at that they salary dump Grayson Allen? Because I think it's pretty good. Like,
I think it's happening. Yeah.
Like they're going to do another triple, like they've been they've been taking out second mortgages on all their future first swaps. Yeah. They have the triple. Like, you wouldn't think they would send like, hey, Spurs, we'll give you $4 million just cash to take Grayson Allen for the year. And the Spurs are like, yeah. I mean, Grayson Allen can shoot. And almost every team in the NBA, like the Magic could use him. Like almost any team in the regular season who's trying to get to that like play-in level or maybe even make the playoffs, you could use Grayson Allen.
So Harrison Fagan is taunting us saying that Grayson's coming home to the Grizzlies.
I'm not worried about that.
And I do think someone who quote unquote needs a shooter is going to, have interest.
I don't begrudge any team as much as we make fun of Grayson Allen. I don't begrudge any team for adding Grayson Allen. He's again, useful player. I wouldn't trust him in the postseason. But like the guy can make threes and that's a very valuable commodity. It might be the least valuable on this actual Suns roster where you already have Beal and Booker and Eric Gordon.
I mean, this is a roster where your second best ball handler might be Keita Bates Diop. So
Utah. Here's a couple of my questions about what the Suns have done.
Utah is just like super awesome Grayson Allen at this point. They don't need him.
The Suns have. All right. They traded for Bradley Beal. They traded everything for Bradley Beal, right? After trading,
the Bradley Beal deal looks insane.
The Bradley Beal deal now is like a full-fledged F, right? It's just,
yes.
It's like, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, here's one confusion. Why didn't the Warriors and Suns just trade? Why didn't the Suns just send Chris Paul to the Warriors for Jordan Poole and keep 4 first-round pick swaps and 6 second rounders? Like, why? I don't like. I'm legitimately confused. Why, like the upgrade from Bradley Beal to Jordan Poole is not worth 4 first-round pick swaps and 6 second rounders. Now, one of the first-round pick swaps is the 2024. All right, that's very unlikely to convey. Let's say 3 first-round pick swaps. Like, why didn't they just trade? Like, why were the Wizards involved in that deal? Not rhetorical.
The only reason I can think with the Brandon Beal deal.
Brandon Beal, go for it.
Excuse me, Bradley Beal deal is that you're sitting there and you're basically, you think you're out of the running for players of that ilk unless you pay a price like that.
Yeah.
So to find out what the real price for players because to me, Jrue Holiday better than Bradley Beal.
Jrue Holiday such a better fit.
Yeah.
Now I don't.
So to find this out, like I can't imagine the cataclysmic effect it's having on these.
So I don't think there's a way they could have gotten Jrue Holiday this summer, with the things they had, even with those pick swaps, because that's still not going to give you a Damian Lillard.
Wouldn't you rather just do nothing?
Yeah. Oh, I would much rather do nothing. I mean, when you look at their entire summer, where it's like you traded away Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. You salary dumped. I mean, again, campaign, who cares? Landry Shamet, who cares? But then like all those pick swaps, all those second rounders to get in Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, and Nurkic. It's like you already had. So I think here's the big issue with the Suns. You already had Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. You already had probably the best 1-2 punch in the entire NBA. The Durant deal was risky but defensible. Yeah. Like you traded away a bunch of first round picks, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, to bring in a guy in his 30s, but you're still like, Durant's going to age fine. We're going to be awesome because we have this team that went to the finals 2 years ago. If we can get Durant to play alongside Devin Booker, and also they were saying alongside Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, we're going to be a title contender. And they got beat down by the Nuggets. They won 2 games where Booker made every shot he took, and that's what it took. It took an 88% true shooting percentage for them to win those games. And so the Suns had, I think, the top two players, the top 1-2 punch in the NBA, I think, at that point. Now they make this big risky move to like further go in thinking if we add Bradley Beal, it's additive. And a lot of people thought it was, and I thought it was maybe not. I'm like, their offensive rating's already 130. I don't think an NBA team could have a 140 offensive rating. So like, I don't think it actually adds anything. I'm very confused. And then they made all these cost-cutting moves. I'm lost. Like, this is I made jokes about Matt Ishbia. Like, maybe he just didn't understand the salary cap, or he didn't understand the luxury tax. It seemed like he came in being like, man, I'm going to give away Suns games on TV. I'm going to buy a digital antenna for everybody, and I don't care about luxury tax. And now it's like, man, he cares, and he's just like making this team worse and worse. And they're still good. Okay, they're still good, but it's like their margin of error now is like razor thin. And I'm just like, this is
I'm just seeing a lot of billionaire know-it-all hubris.
That could be it. Like, here's a trade idea. Let's imagine you were the Suns and you didn't trade for Bradley Beal. How many pick swaps would it have taken just to get Marcus Smart? Like, if you could have sent campaign and Landry Shamet and 3 first-round pick swaps, that would be better for your team. Having Marcus Smart would be better for the Suns team than having Bradley Beal. Defender, ball handler, and like a guy who doesn't need the ball. I don't know. I mean, I've leaned into the bit of not liking the Suns, and it's been more fun since they got rid of the 2 guys on the Suns I loved, and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. And then it's wild to me how this team mortgaged everything for a year of competitiveness and now have already like kind of short circuited it. Like, where do you put the Suns' big 3 right now? Because the Suns' big 3
still very high,
still very, very high. But like the Bucks' big 3 is now better, clearly, right?
Certainly.
Lillard, Giannis, and Middleton, that's the best big 3 in the NBA, I think. Am I missing anyone? I think that's the best.
I would probably call that a 2.5 just because we don't know which Middleton we're getting back. But
the short contenders are let's acknowledge Jokic and Murray and Gordon, or let's acknowledge who? Curry and 2 other players?
I think it's like I think you still throw Anthony Davis and LeBron in there as like
Austin Reeves
as I'm thinking more big 2s. I don't think there are big 3s, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think I think there's 2 main big 3s, and it is Bucks and the Suns. And I think, Middleton and Beal might be comparable right now. Although Beal doesn't play games. He plays 56 games a year, right?
I just don't see. I don't think anyone has a big 3.
Yeah, this is I think it's just an awful summer for the Suns. Like, I would just run it back. Compared to this, just run it back and let James Jones do his dartboard draft exercise where he's like, just take anybody.
Right. The Suns, like, we're about to find out. This could be catastrophic for you. If the Suns somehow have weathered this storm of stupidity, it's going to be tough to swallow. It
could blow up in my face, and they're still, again, they're one
what
of the.
What if they pick up Boogie Cousins and make a title run? It's the only way this could get stranger.
Classic nemesis Boogie Cousins. I'm trying to, like, I went from like shorting the Suns, being like, I don't think they're going to be that good. I don't think they're a title favorite, to now being like, I think they've actively just really hurt themselves. Maybe I'm just getting carried away with the momentum, while I think it's all heading in one direction. I think they legit need a center. They need somebody else. They need, like, trade Grayson Allen for Daniel Tice. Like, I just think they need a body, a guy who, is going to suit up and play and rebound and set screens. Like, they're not going to stop anybody. Like, they're going to get lit up. and they're going to have some fun, like 160 to 150 wins. But I am not a believer. And if I were a Suns fan,
how far down the Western rankings have the Suns slid for you?
Well, so I'm not even saying they're down necessarily. I still think I would still pick them to be top 4. I mean, I think I don't even trust, like, I think the Lakers in a playoff series are better, but regular season, the Suns might be able to cook. Like, they really might be able to cook. So, like, I think Nuggets are better. I think the Warriors are better. I think the Lakers are better. I probably have the Suns.
I mean, they were barely top 4 last year.
Yeah.
You know,
they went through a lot.
That's a down Dubs.
It's
Lakers
not
year. A let down Lakers year.
For
Timberwolves
me,
are going to be better.
For me, my negative opinion of the Suns is not this season. It's that they did.
Did you mean top 4 in the West or in the whole league?
No, in the West.
Yeah. Because I don't, you know, I just don't see it. Like,
no, but I'm saying they did all this. Yeah, you're saying they did all this to be like one of the 6 to 8 best teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
Next year, oh no. 2 years from now, what in the world? Like you have, like, so like my extreme negativity for the Suns is not specifically this season. It's that they've gone all in for just this season. And in the future, it's incredibly bleak.
How are you going to feel during the midst of a 9-game winning streak for the Suns when both Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant have suffered catastrophic injuries?
Well, still, I mean, if all their guys stay healthy, they absolutely, it would not be surprising for them to run off
when they don't stay healthy and
somehow
Devin Booker still carries them. Is that the worst case scenario?
I mean, you have Devin Booker, who's awesome.
Yeah.
He was the best shooting guard in the NBA. Like you have Devin Booker, and it's just like, I don't know, to go this short-sighted. It's like the Gobert trade. It's like you had Anthony Edwards, you had Jaden McDaniels. Just like build, you have Cat, just build. Don't push it all in for this one thing. And I don't know.
That's next year when we look at all the weird trades, it's going to be very fun to rank them schadenfreudigly.
Let's briefly, let's talk about the fallout now. Because Jrue Holiday, like where are the fits for Jrue Holiday? And then 2, how does James Harden fit into this all right now?
James Harden is desperate to get back to Houston. That's the only thing I'm certain of.
You sent me this, John. Tell the people the thing you just sent me.
It's James Harden renting out a club, handing people Jello shots and signs besmirching Daryl Morey.
Yeah,
and having a professional film crew.
They're in the club holding up Daryl Morey is a liar signs. James Harden's a great guy.
He seems very fun. He also seems very fat, which, you know, I love fat players.
They're the best.
Legitimately fat.
They're the best. They're the most fun to cheer for.
But he's obviously has to get. I finally understand. Like, oh, he wants to get back to that Houston, Planet Houston.
So, do you think Miami now engages with the Sixers over James Harden? Do you think that's something? Do you think Daryl Morey would do that? Would trade with another Eastern Conference possible contender?
I just don't see. I mean, they'd be better off going for Holiday, I think.
But like, what if? But again, to me, the 3-way makes too much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jrue Holiday back to the Sixers. It's a shame the Kings hadn't traded Nerlens or waived Nerlens Noel, because I believe Nerlens Noel, Jrue Holiday 1-for-1 deals are allowed and required, actually. Once you do a 1-for-1 deal for a guy, I believe that's always the price. Like, listen, permanent price. The 3-way, Jrue to the Sixers, James to the Heat, garbage to the Trailblazers to rebuild makes too much sense in my mind. I mean, the Sixers with Jrue instead of James might be awesome. It still would have the half court probably issues that maybe
the hell
Bucks
would you
had.
even score on them?
No idea. No idea, man.
How in the hell would you score on them?
Like, that seems like an incredible fit. The James Harden and Jrue contracts are extremely close, so that could happen. I mean, That makes sense to me. Like, who are the other suitors? I guess we haven't talked about the Clippers. Now, the Clippers could be in for Jrue or James.
Ballmer's got to be
that would also terrify me. I mean, luckily, all these teams are pretty short, or the Clippers are short on assets.
I mean, honestly, to me, the Warriors makes the most sense and is the most frightening to me. For Jrue,
I think if the Clippers got Jrue, they go from. If the Clippers got Jrue for some of these like vague Harden offers, where it's like, oh, Covington plus Marcus Morris and Terrence Mann and like a first or 2 firsts or something, like if the Clippers got Jrue, they go for me from being like what I think is going to be like the 7th to 10th team in the West to being like better than the Grizzlies. Like if Kawhi doesn't play, Jrue plus Paul George just plus their team, I'm like, that's really good. And that scares me. Jrue plus Paul George and Kawhi Leonard is all of a sudden like, oh my God.
The Clippers were as good as the Suns last year. I mean,
I went to that playoff series, man. They were riding a Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. I mean, they're not far. And like you just said it, that frees them from having to rely on a player of that ilk.
I do feel like the Clippers do need to go in and get one of those guys. Like they need to. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, you can't do another Paul George, Kawhi Leonard year of being like play-in bound. And
Clippers they have assets.
They have some. I know the Pelicans own. I was like, again, Pelicans, man, use some of those future picks. By the way, you know this trade. You know who this entire.
I would not if I'm the Pelicans. I would not have much interest in a player like James Harden or Jrue Holiday.
Oh, I want Jrue though.
To give you, what are we talking about? Single digit regular season wins, and then you still don't really have a chance in the playoffs. If I'm that kind of franchise, I'm not really looking at players like that. To me, the franchise that needs a Jrue Holiday is the team that a team that needs that is already pretty elite but needs a playoff closer. That's the type of that's when I would be willing to use my capital, as opposed to, I don't think a team like the Pelicans or a play-in type team should make this move.
Brandon Ingram for Jrue Holiday straight up.
I don't think I would do that.
Okay.
If I'm
I think
he's too young. He's too young and developing.
Yeah.
And Jrue Holiday is not going to, I think, make a big enough difference for them in the areas of the game, the time of the season where they need that. Like, they need to be getting better all year round, not just have a guy to come in and be this playoff closer guy.
So you know who this but I was going to say, one of the underrated winners of this Damian Lillard trade is the Washington Wizards, who own all of the Suns picks through like the late like that.
Oh God.
Like, you had, say what you will for Deandre Ayton. He was young and you had him under contract, and just Devin Booker plus DeAndre Ayton, that's fine. I mean, I think Zach Lowe was saying that like Durant and Booker are like, man, you got to get this guy out of here. They were telling like, hey, I can't. This guy's got to be gone. Has to be.
Yeah, because the coach is gone.
I mean, Vogel,
and he's still, yeah.
This is tough. The Suns have two of the worst contracts in the league now. Like, Bradley Beal still has a no trade clause. I don't. Again, the Suns should be good this year. They should be really good.
Yeah.
But like, they are precipitously close from like
their chips are all
for a long time. Like the year after this, the Bucks are still a little shallow. Like, the Bucks are now like, oh yeah, Jay Crowder, he's like our 7th man. It's like you gave him a DNP in the playoffs last year. They have a rookie coach. They do have Terry Stotts, a nice little reunion there. Terry Stotts, an assistant coach for the Bucks. What a deal! I'm glad it got wrapped up. I think we did it. Any other final thoughts you have, John, on this massive?
I just can't wait to listen to the rest of Dame's album. The first single dropped, and it's quite compelling.
Do artists still do albums? Shouldn't you just drip the singles?
So. Mixtape. maybe I'm using
Brandon Clark came out with one, and Jaren Jackson Jr. both dropped an album this summer. I haven't dug into either one.
Tune into Grits and Grinds for Keith's analysis of both of those records.
I believe our Roundball Rock buddies are doing a track-by-track breakdown of those records pretty soon.
Oh,
so
God.
that's something to check out. Anyways, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to all of you on playback who hung out. We are doing John and I are doing another episode on Friday. That will be for Patreons only, or patrons only. If you want access to that exclusive episode, you have to be a Patreon supporter. You can get that for just $1 a month. Join at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. All right. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
I will remember